next.
Welcome into T4G Sports. How y'all doing today? Hopefully it's a fantastic day. We want to thank our alumni, T4G alumni, for supporting our channel. You guys are fantastic. We appreciate you guys more than you know. And with that being said, guys, make sure to let us know in the comments below who do you think is going to win this game. Right now in our poll, make sure to go participate in that poll. You guys have Notre Dame with a slight lead, and I don't think you're crazy. I don't. I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't think you're crazy here. So let us know why you believe Notre Dame's going to win, or even Penn State. And without further ado, make sure to hit that like button. Support the channel. It's free. It doesn't cost you a thing. Subscribe, click the notification bell, and let's jump into this. Okay, guys, if you're going to this game, I'm so jealous of you. I'm so jealous. I wish I could go to this game so bad. With that being said, if you guys want to help us go to games like this in the future, we need more views. I'm just being honest with you. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, click the notification bell, comment down below. Help us out, get to these games. All right, I want to go to them. And if you guys are going to this game, please tweet us out and let us know how it was. Okay, whether your team won or lost, just let us know the atmosphere, how it was. I really, really wish we could go to this game. These two teams used to be rivals. Many people did not know. They used to both be independent teams, and they would fight each other, and they had epic clashes. Epic clashes. I was too young to partake in those, but I did do a lot of research on those, and I was blown away. I really believe that when Notre Dame joins the Big Ten, I think it's going to happen. I've already talked to why that is. I think when Notre Dame joins the Big Ten, I think the second greatest rivalry in sports history behind Michigan and Ohio State would be Penn State versus Notre Dame at the end of the year. Throw the USC game out the window. Look, I get it. They're rivals, but I don't care about that game. I want to see these two teams face because they're twins. They live in basically the same type of weather. Okay, that's one. They're very similar in how these teams operate. They're similar in identity. They're similar in how they recruit. They're similar in their philosophies, just in general terms. These two teams are built for each other. They're built to hate each other. They're built to battle each other. Penn State has no true rivalry in the Big Ten. Notre Dame's rivalry with USC to me is like, I'm going to be honest. I don't really love the USC-Notre Dame rivalry. So I wish I could go to this game so bad because I think these two teams are twinsies. Twinsies. That's what I really believe. I love these two teams battling each other. I think it's just so great for the sport and these two programs. And I think if these two had a consistent rivalry every year at the end of the year, I think both these two teams would be national contenders, just like Ohio State and Michigan. They would absolutely dominate in recruiting to the same level as the big boys. I think these two teams are built for each other, and I love this matchup. I'm more excited to watch this game than I am the Texas and Ohio State game, if I'm being honest with you guys. I think each team has different things that they need to do to win the game. For this game, these two teams, they need to do the same thing as the other one, just do it better than the other one. They're going to run the ball. There's going to be a lot of stack in the box in this game. A lot of stack in the box, in my opinion. I'll be shocked if that doesn't happen because both these teams are not like super scary in passing. They're scary enough, but they're not like Ohio State or Oregon, even Texas. They're not quite to that level where it's like they're just going to roast you through the air. I don't see that happening. It could happen, sure, but I would be shocked. These teams are going to run on you, and they're going to try to beat the piss out of each other. This is going to be a bloodbath. This is going to be probably the most violent game in the entire college football playoff. In my opinion, you're going to see a lot of nasty hits. I just wish both these two teams faced each other as a rivalry at the end of the year. I'm going to keep stressing that. I think it would make these two teams the most powerful teams in college football. I really do. They would fight with Ohio State, Michigan, Georgia, Bama, LSU, you name it. These two teams are great for each other. They're the perfect marriage. Now, anyways, aside with my obsession of these two teams, I think really it's going to boil down to who's going to run just a little bit better than the other one and which defense is just going to tighten up just slightly better. Because I think for Penn State, is a little bit better in the passing attack. And it's all because of Warren. I don't think Drew Aller is really better than Riley Leonard per se. I think maybe you could say he has a slight edge here or there, but then Riley Leonard also has a slight edge on certain things like running the ball. I think he's a little better than Aller, but I think Aller's like slightly better on passing. But I think the big difference, because I think both run games are great. Love, Allen, you just got great running backs in this game, NFL running backs. But I think what really separates Penn State is you have Warren. Warren is like the scariest man in college football almost. I mean, obviously you have J.J. Smith, you have Travis Hunter, you have just absolute dogs, okay, in college football on the offensive side of the ball. But there is no one who can do what Warren can do. Warren can block. He can run. I've seen the dude pass the ball. If you're talking a Swiss Army knife, this dude is Boy Scouts on roids. This dude is like, I'll chop down the tree. I'll build the fort. It is, that man is ridiculous. He is going to change an NFL team the moment he steps on the field. He is like Gronkowski. Maybe not as good as Gronkowski overall receiving, but I think he's better than Gronkowski in overall just what he can do Swiss Army knife-wise. I've not seen a tight end be able to really do what he can do. And I love Sam Laporta. I thought Sam Laporta was great. I think people slept on Sam Laporta coming into the draft. But even Warren is just like, even though Sam Laporta is a better receiver than Warren in certain ways, Warren is just like, man, it's like this guy is just, he is great at basically everything. There's not much that he's like, hey, he's not good at that. He is just fantastic. So I really, really enjoy Warren. And I think Warren is going to be the difference maker in this game for Penn State. But it's up to Drew Aller. Can you get him the ball? Because Drew Aller, I have my question marks on him. I just don't believe he's that good at passing. He can be at times. But, man, he misses guys, and his accuracy can just look like crap. Riley Leonard, for him to win the game for Notre Dame, you have to just not get the crap kicked out of you because you're going to run the ball, and Penn State's going to lick you up. They're going to hit you. So just don't get injured, and you're going to give Notre Dame a great chance to win this game if you don't get injured. But if you take some really nasty hits in this, even though I think Riley Leonard is an absolute monster of a human being, he is just, the man is just a creature at quarterback. When he runs the ball, you don't want to tackle him. Not fun to tackle. I just worry about how many hits he's going to take in this game. I think he has a tendency to allow himself to just get hit too much, and I worry about that in this game. And again, I don't think whatever team wins this one, I don't think it's going to be by a big margin. I would be shocked. Honestly, I would be shocked if they won by a big margin. I think you could win by a field goal in this game. And this game could almost look ugly as hell, but I think Penn State just has a slight edge when it comes to offense, all because of Warren. I think running-wise they're pretty similar. I think Riley Leonard's better than Drew Aller in ways. Aller's better than Riley Leonard in ways. They kind of balance each other, but I think when you have a guy like Warren, if Penn State, if you don't utilize that, you guys are idiots. I'm going to just be frank with you on that. If you don't win this game by utilizing Warren, then you just deserve to lose, because having a guy like Warren is just a game changer. He really is. He is a game changer. He's so good that when they play Ohio State, they really will just take Caleb Downs, the best safety in college ball, and lock him up one-on-one usually with Warren. Yeah, like if you're Ohio State and you're saying we need to take one guy, that's our best dude, who's the best guy in college football at this position, and completely spend his entire time going after one man, that tells you how good Warren actually is. So I think just in that regard, Penn State should win this game. But again, if Notre Dame wins it, I won't be shocked the slightest. So I'm going to have to give it to Penn State, but it's like an iffy, like, I'm going to give it to you, but I'm not confident in that either. I'm not like telling you guys like, yeah, bet on this game. Hell no, I ain't betting on this game. Because Notre Dame is great and Penn State's scary as hell too. So I just can't wait to watch this game. I'm going to give it to Penn State, but it's like a real, like I have one toe in the water kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I feel about this. No shot at Notre Dame at all. Notre Dame fans, your team is nasty. This is a nasty team. I just think Warren is a game changer. The guy is a freak, man. He is an absolute freak. And Aller, just throw him the damn ball. Give him to an accuracy-wise. And Notre Dame, just play smart and run like hell. And you're going to have a good shot to win this game. I can't wait for this game. I cannot wait for this game. So let's go over this matchup. First, we want to talk about the regular season here. Texas had a pretty solid season, but there's still, for Texas fans, still a lot of questions of like, okay, wait a minute. We're like top 2 in NIL. We're not playing the way we should be playing. We should have beaten Georgia at least one of these 2 times. And it was just frustrating. I mean, if you look at their season, Their marquee win was Texas A&M, and it's just kind of painful. I will say in the first loss against Georgia, though, playing at home, I think Georgia would have taken it to almost any team in the country this week. They played with their hair on fire. That was a great Georgia team that week. They just played to their highest potential. And so I don't want to fault Texas as much in this game here because Georgia just played really good. The problem is that Texas didn't answer, and Texas should have answered if they were playing to the level that we all believe that they should have been playing. And then you go through this game. This showed that, hey, it was much closer. And this was a neutral site. So this showed that Texas, when they answer the call, this is what the score should look like. Maybe they won't win, but it should be a lot more competitive. And then you go into the playoff. They beat Clemson. They ran effectively on Clemson, but Clemson still made it a game. And so here, even you were kind of like, okay, I know they won, but they just didn't win the way you wanted them to win. Then Arizona State looked like at first it was going to be a blowout. And then Arizona State said, hold on. And the second half, we're going to make a run. And the issue in this game here for me was that Texas just didn't dictate where the trenches would be dug with their trench hogs. And the line of scrimmage just didn't look that good against Arizona State. Now, Arizona State's a good team. Don't get me wrong. They're a good team. But still, Arizona State should not have dictated where the trenches would be dug. Not against Texas. Not against a mighty SEC team. Even though they're a first-year SEC team, they still shouldn't have done that. So they also stopped Texas's run. And when you stop Texas's run, Texas struggles. They definitely struggle. They cannot do what Ohio State can do, which is pass their way to run. Ohio State can pass to make the run happen. Texas just struggles with that, and most teams will struggle with that. But it was still a good win at the end of it all. But that is something that we saw that it was like, okay, Texas is kind of, they're bumping around a little bit. It's a little bit of a struggle for them. Now, for Ohio State just wasn't playing up to the level that most people thought they would. Experts and non-experts included. Everyone agreed that Ohio State has the best team in college football. They're the most veteran team. They have the best talent, pound for pound. And a lot of sources will tell you they spend around fourth most in NIL. You have Texas, Georgia, and Oregon. They all spend more than Ohio State, but Ohio State is still the most powerful team in college football. And during the regular season, Ohio State just didn't look good in the first half. They would look good in the second half of the game. And it was really frustrating to watch. And then you watch them against Oregon, and just almost everything that could go Oregon's way went Oregon's way. The onside kick where it hit the player, came back to Oregon. You had the push off with J.J. Smith. That in reality, that's called maybe 30% of the time in college football. If you watch film excessively like we do, you're going to see that same play with J.J., but you're not going to see it called as much. And then on top of which you had the Dan Lanning loophole to the rules. You had Will Howard slide, and the game was over. Ohio State looked like they did with Georgia, where it was with C.J. Stroud, where it was like, you're going to win the game, you'll win the natty if you kick this field goal and make it, and then they miss. It was like, oh, here goes Ohio State again, like losing these games. And Ryan Day would always say the same thing. It's like 5 plays. You got to get those 5 plays in these really tough games, and that's how you win a natty. And yet it was the same thing where they're just not getting those 5 plays. You're not getting them. They struggled against Nebraska. Then Penn State, they started turning it on. Indiana, they beat the hell out of Michigan. They lose this game randomly. I mean, Michigan, this was their Super Bowl. And people got really angry at us because we tried to tell people, like, look, a lot of people are stuck in the old mindset of college football where you can't lose in the regular season. But you have to realize that nowadays with the 12-team playoff, you got to let James Franklin, who's been on the hot seat for it seems like 500 years now, you got to let him play in the playoff because now he's not stuck with just playing Ohio State. He gets to go play other teams, and now other teams can't use hypotheticals against Penn State. You got to beat Penn State now. You can't just say, oh, well, we would have beat Penn State easily because they can't even beat Ohio State and Michigan. Well, now you got to prove that, and so far teams have not proven that. And Notre Dame is not taking this game lightly. I can tell you that right now. Notre Dame is not looking at Penn State and going, this is going to be an easy game. I don't think so. I don't agree with that at all. Same thing here. When we said that the rivalry game does not mean as much as it used to, and winning a natty is more important than beating Michigan, there were Michigan fans that were just upset as hell about that. Oh, you'd rather beat Michigan than win the natty. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. There's no way that's accurate. Ohio State beat Michigan for 20 years straight, And what did it do you? Nothing. ESPN still talked more crap than they ever did. SEC fans and SEC alike talked more crap than they ever did. Beating Michigan is great and dandy, but winning natties is the top of the top. I hate to break it to people, but this game is going to keep losing its relevance compared to what it used to. I'm not saying it's going to go away. I'm not saying that. This will still be the biggest rivalry in sports, but the thing you have to take into account is that in prior years, if you didn't win this game, you didn't go to the playoff. Like last year, the requirements, if they were applied to this year, Ohio State and Penn State would not be in the playoff. But now you're getting to see these teams go into the playoff, and they're doing some work. They're kicking some teams' ass. So that's why this rivalry game doesn't mean as much as it used to. And winning the Natty, I hate to break it to you, winning the Natty is the most important thing. It's absurd to think otherwise. Nick Saban, the great Nick Saban, will tell you himself easily. So going into the playoff, the difference is you've seen Ohio State start to go all 4 quarters. And the games have basically been over in the first quarter. I mean, these games are eerily similar, 42-17, 41-21. When Ohio State turns it on, there's no one who's coming close to them. I hate to break it to you. Your teams can be good, but if Ohio State says we're going to turn it on and play our A game, you're toast. You're done. So in this game here against Texas, this is a great matchup between two very, very good teams. And Texas is actually favored to win according to ESPN's matchup predictor. They have a 50.6% chance to win this game against Ohio State. I will say, though, in this game, I don't agree with this home field advantage for teams in the playoff. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't think it should be done. I think you should change the venue and not let these teams have home field advantage. One way or another, I just don't agree with this. I know Ohio State fans will still show up, but still, it just makes it so much easier on one team over the other, and I just don't agree with it. So number one, I'm not going to bore you with stats because stats are subjective. This entire year, they said strength of schedule was favored to the SEC, and I just didn't believe that, as many of you guys know. And you guys know who you are, who commented in our comments and said the Big Ten plays a soft schedule. They don't play anyone, and as you can see now, that is not accurate. Okay, even McElroy on ESPN during the Indiana game wanted to call into question the entire Big Ten because of Indiana's performance. And then later on, you look at Georgia versus Notre Dame, and it was abysmal. And so even the so-called experts are just completely, they're just naive, in my opinion, on what they're seeing. They're like, oh no, SEC is still the powerhouse that they once were, but they don't want to give the Big Ten credit. We tried to tell you guys the Big Ten's tougher than what you think they are. The Big Ten is nasty. So the stats are subjective, in my opinion. I'm not going to tell you, well, Ohio State's this in pressures and Texas is blah, blah, blah. No, throw it out the window. Make this as basic as possible. So first, we're going to go over Texas. There's 3 main ways. If you're Texas, you need these things to go your way to win the game. If not, you're talking a Hail Mary strategy. You can win the game that way, but it's not a strategy I would go in with if I'm Texas. Number 1, run the ball effectively. You need to challenge your guys and say, we need to run the ball. That's how we beat Clemson. Okay, that's what made us struggle with Arizona State is we couldn't run the ball. And it's particularly in the second half. It just was not effective. And that's what made it a game. And if you're making it a game with Arizona State, that's just a bad recipe if you're trying to do that same philosophy against Ohio State. That's not what I would want to do if I was Texas. So you need to run the ball. It's going to slow down the game. You got to get Ohio State's defense tired because Ohio State's defense is the best in the land. They have the best defense in college football. There's no doubt about it. They have the most studs on that side of the ball, and you have to run the ball. Okay, the second part is you have to stop Ohio State from getting up on you early if you're Texas's defense. You got to punch Ohio State in the mouth. You have to slow them down. Pop that tire, slow them down because you know you need it in the second half. Because Texas has been winning games in the second half. They would get up on teams early in recent games, and then they'd weather the storm in the second half. Bad philosophy against Ohio State. That is not what you're going to want to do against this Ohio State team. You're going to want to stop them from getting up on you early, and you want to keep that game as close as possible, and you want to make it hard on Will Howard. Very hard on Will Howard. And that goes into step 3 here. You have to get pressure on Will Howard. Will Howard cannot, in my opinion, he can, but he's not likely to win you the game by himself. He's not. He is going to get the ball to his playmakers, throw the ball for a 5-yard pass, and Jeremiah Smith or or Trey Henderson, or you name it, is going to run it for however many yards for a touchdown. They have playmakers with playmaker ability at any moment in time in this game. So those are the three ways. You have to run the ball effectively. You have to stop Ohio State from getting up on you early, and you got to get pressure on Will Howard. Those are the three ways you got to win this game. Okay, because if you can't run the ball, they get up on you early, and you can't get pressure on Will Howard, you're toast. You're going home, or your fans are going home early. It's what happened with Oregon. We went to the Rose Bowl. It was fantastic. We actually went to the Rose Bowl, and Oregon fans went home pretty early. They did not stay the entire game, and obviously you can tell why that was. Okay, so for Texas, you break it down in three main ways to win the game. It's in my opinion, it's that simple. I don't need to overcomplicate it, try to tell you like, well, blah, 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 this, that, and the third. No. Run the ball, stop Ohio State from getting up on you early, get pressure on Will Howard, and you have a great chance to win this damn game. So for Ohio State, I think it's pretty simple on what you need to do if you're Ohio State. Number one, you need to minimize turnovers on the offensive side of the ball. Now, you can still lose the turnover battle in this game and still win because your team is so good. But if you minimize the turnovers and you don't give gimmick plays to Texas, like a pick six or a fumble six or even a fumble and your own side of the field, if you minimize that, just that alone, you have a great chance to win this game, toe to toe. The next part is Will Howard needs to play clean and calm football. Okay, clean and calm football. That's that simple. Let your playmakers do the work for you. Don't try to get too above your britches and try to say, hey, I need to save us in this. No. And he's really good at that usually. Usually he's pretty good at just saying, hey, I'm even going to throw the ball away and allow our defense to do the work. Don't try to do too much, and you'll be in a great spot in this game. Now, the next part for Ohio State is the defense needs to create turnovers. If you can create turnovers, which Ohio State is very good at doing, Ohio State's offense will click at some point in time, and if you give them easy plays, then Ohio State's going to be in a really good spot to win this game. I mean, just really good spot. And then I really think the other thing is stop the run. Texas is going to try to run on you and try to dictate that run. If they don't, fine. Let them just try to pass their way out of this game. I think that favors Ohio State. Sure, they can win that way, but I don't think it's a good philosophy. So if you stop the run and then you can pin your ears back and go after Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning, they're in trouble. And Texas has a great team. There's no question about it. They have a great team. But I think if Ohio State just plays this like a chess match and says, hey, let's stack the percentages that are going to favor us to win this game, and Ohio State accomplishes that, I think Ohio State wins comfortably. And if Ohio State plays to their best ability, I think Ohio State wins comfortably. Again, I think Texas can win this game. Okay, you cannot take this game lightly if you're Ohio State. Not at all. If you try to take this game lightly and you get overconfident, you're going to look like an idiot in this game if you're Ohio State. So you can't do that. You have to be very, very smart because Texas is a dog. And they're waiting. They are waiting and saying, hey, just give us an opportunity and let's see what we can do. And they can hurt you. So you got to be very, very, very careful with Texas. With that being said, with our prediction, we do agree with you guys. Even if Texas wins this game, anyone who says Texas will win this game and they try to come back at the end and say, well, see, told you, I knew this. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. There's no way in hell anyone is truly believing that Texas is going to win this game so confidently that they would stake their house on it or, put a massive amount of money down that is, if they lost that money, that it would greatly negatively impact their life. Okay, that I don't believe that in a heartbeat. Ohio State is the best team in college football. This is a team that I think is just pound for pound. Even if they lose this game, it's not going to change my mind on this. Pound for pound, this is one of the greatest college football teams I've ever seen in my life. I've ever seen in the history of the sport. I think Sark will tell you the same thing. I think Dan Lanning would tell you that. I think Heupel would tell you that in a heartbeat. This team is no team to be thrown around as, yeah, they're good, but not great. No. Nah, that's a lie. So I have Ohio State winning this game, but I think you need to be very careful. Texas has home field advantage. Texas has things going their way. Texas is a nasty team, and you better give them their respect, because if you don't, and you don't play like that, you have a real shot at losing this game. But I got Ohio State to cover this one without a doubt. I think Ohio State is going to win by 2 touchdowns, at least. We'll see. It's going to be a great game. But I'm telling you, Ohio State, don't take this team lightly. Don't do it.